Well, here in our part of Texas, we're back to clear skies. Except for maybe some parts of East Texas looking way off to the southeast. While I was out looking at this weather, got a little bit of footage here. We found some leafcutter ants.
Yep.
Yeah, somehow we've turned into a wild kingdom today. So it looks like these guys are digging out from the floods that we had earlier. So anyway, yeah, we have cleared on out, but the moisture is coming back. You see the dew points there across East Texas? Got 78 there at Lufkin. We can go down to South Texas. Got 73 here. Not so bad in San Antonio, 67. But if we draw that 70 isodrosotherm, it's going to look something like this. So we've got moisture, pretty good feed of it going all the way up into Missouri there. So whatever front we had here last week and over the weekend is cleared on off to the north and pushed up in that area. So we're getting back into the old pattern that we had about a week and a half ago or so. And there it is on the SPC mesoscale analysis here. What I did is I went to the observations page and I pulled up, well, I guess you can't see that. They got this option here for visible satellites, so that's what I'm showing here. And you see the nighttime starting to come in and work its way westward. However, we do have, where we have the moisture streaming up into the higher terrain of Texas, remember we have the cap rock right around here. So as the moisture works up onto the cap rock and onto the higher elevations, it's able to condense easier and reach its LFC quicker or easier, and we get storms there in the higher terrain around Roswell, Clovis, and Hobbs. Looks like even a few storms up around Woodward right there. So we haven't seen this in a while. This is the water vapor imagery. So this is showing the mid-level moisture, upper-level moisture, not so much the low-level moisture because that tends to be attenuated. There's, I guess you could say, a filtering that goes on in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So this is more sensitive to the upper troposphere. So what this is showing is the bulk of the tropical moisture, the deep tropical moisture, is all the way from West Texas up into southeast Kansas and into southern Illinois. And as you go further north, this area is more under the influence of the prevailing westerlies, the jet stream. So you can kind of see that. Jet stream pattern is going to be kind of like that. And north of there, you see an occluded low right here. Let me switch the color. So this is suggesting probably a frontal system kind of like that. So we're going to be looking for this on the surface charts. And this area up here is going to be the occlusion. Because normally when you go north of the polar front jet, you're looking at occluded systems. So here's the GFS thickness and pressure. The pressure is in black and the thickness is in dashed red. And you remember yesterday we were talking about these gradients here of thickness. Like right here where they're very packed together. That's suggestive of a frontal zone. And the front is going to be on the equatorward side of that zone. So if we draw on top of that, we're going to get a cold front, something like that. And this segment here would be a warm front. And then leading up towards the low, we would have an occluded front. So even without really looking at the surface data, we can get a rough idea where we're going to find those systems. And as I've mentioned previously, that becomes very important when you're out in the mountains, where a lot of the surface patterns become obscured. Then further down in the south in Texas, we've got either a lee side trough or a dry line, one of the two. Now, I'm going to show you an interesting chart, and let me pull up the name I had on that. I lost the name. I believe that was Keith Brandt that sent this along. This is a site called pivotalweather.com. See, there's the URL right there. And they've got some pretty neat model charts. They're very clean, very no nonsense, very legible. So this is kind of easy to look at. I'm probably not going to use this in these webcasts because the problem is I don't find an easy way to switch between hours. It has to load each panel one at a time. And we kind of zip through these things, and that's going to be a little bit too difficult to do, but this is basically showing you the same pattern. There's the frontal system. This is going forward about 12 hours into the future, 12 to 24 hours, and it brings the weather system up into Lake Superior, Minnesota, and Iowa like that. And this is the 300 millibar chart. The shaded, or I should say the colored areas, are the isotachs. So that's going to show us where the jet stream is located. And we can pick up a little bit of the subtropical jet down here in California. And the reason I'm not saying that that's a polar front jet is because it's mostly emphasized in the ridge areas. See that ridge right there? You can see it's stronger in the ridges. That's kind of a sign we're looking at a subtropical jet. Alright, so what do we got coming up? We haven't looked at precipitable water. I can't remember if we looked at this yesterday or not, but in any case, here we go. This is sea level pressure and precipitable water. So let me adjust the frame so you can see it better. So what do we got in our forecast? Well, keep an eye on this area right here, just east of Puerto Rico. Now this is going to be interesting. This is I'm not sure if it's a tropical storm or tropical disturbance. It's probably the latter. But in any case, you see it crossing across Puerto Rico, Dominica by Thursday. And then around Saturday and Sunday, we see that coming up on the Bahamas and Florida. So this is in line with what NHC is suggesting. Let me bring back that panel here. So you see this is their 5-day forecast. They're bringing that disturbance on up towards Florida. Let me get back to where I was. Okay, then going out to 9,620 hours, keep an eye on that. It actually brings it out into the Gulf. So GFS is carrying this westward, and it brings it all the way to Lake Charles, Beaumont, and just east of Houston. And you can see the wind flow is not particularly strong, so this may be a tropical storm at worst, but you know, this is a dynamical model. A lot could change here, so this is something to keep an eye on for the Gulf of Mexico, since this has the potential to go pretty far west. So here we're looking at August 31st to September 1st. This is about 192 hours out. So that could be a possible change coming up. And then the last frame I have for you is going to be the 500 millibar vorticity. This is kind of the big picture, what's happening over the next 10 days. We've got high pressure parked over the Gulf Coast. And you can see there's one wave that works through New Mexico. That's going to move eastward going into Wednesday and Thursday. The flow flattens out across the southern plains. Things are going to kind of become a little bit stagnant going into the weekend. We may get a piece of that moisture. I forgot to show you that too. See, here's Saturday. See some of that moisture coming inland. Go out to Sunday, coming into Texas right there. So we're probably going to see our chances of precipitation go up for Texas and Oklahoma into the weekend. Okay, then getting back to where we were. Things stay pretty far north next week, so there's going to be some moderation in the weather pattern. And then we're going to watch for that system coming up into the Gulf. The model's picking up on a piece of that coming up into the upper levels in East Texas right there. So that's about the only thing that will affect our weather in the southern U.S. over the next week or week and a half. And I think that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you watching, and I'm going to leave you something with a little bit different. Thanks. Bye-bye.